In other developments now, the spending trend report by Discovery Bank and Visa shows that nearly two-thirds of South African spend is made up of groceries, retail, travel and fuel. The study has also highlighted an uptick in mobile phone pay systems, while an 8% rise has been identified in eating out. Discovery Bank CEO Hylton Kallner speaks to us about these findings. Thank you so much for your time. An interesting and diverse report at that. Not the first one, but what is it telling us this time around, given the economic climate in the country that speaks of a continued cash-strapped consumer?
Good evening to Sam. So I think the report, is notable in the sense that the period that it really covered reflected a rising interest rate environment, and so there really was kind of real stress and strain on the consumer, as you point out. Notwithstanding that, we've seen an increase in spending over the period, so about a 3% increase in disposable spending or discretionary spending by consumers in South Africa. And what's been interesting is kind of the shifts that we're observing. As you say, about two-thirds of spend are in those four key categories of groceries, retail, fuel, and travel and eating out. But the kind of the shift towards online and the rapid increase in online spending, reflecting things like home deliveries and on-demand deliveries by grocery chains, as well as some of the shifts towards streaming and other entertainment online, is really kind of driving that area. The other notable shift has been towards digital wallets, where South Africa is now rated right at the kind of highest levels globally amongst digital wallet take-up. So our consumers are experiencing kind of the cutting edge of fintech, and we're seeing rapid adoption in that space. So the report looked at not just how much is spent and what we spend on, but also how we spend it, and that's been really interesting for us.
And it definitely gives us light into the progression that we've seen since the times of COVID-19 and lockdown levels, where there's a shift in the manner in which consumers are spending. Let's talk about how these patterns differ in the country's provinces, especially because what you would find in the likes of Limpopo, Mpumalanga versus Gauteng and the Western Cape is totally different.
Yeah, so the report is specified by the three main cities of Joburg, Cape Town and Durban, and in the rest of South Africa. We've also compared those against 11 global cities in terms of spending behaviors, and so we see differences coming through in all of these. But what's interesting is that Joburgers spend the most, as you might expect from a kind of socioeconomic perspective, and being the most financially kind of active segment of the country, followed by Cape Townians and then Durbanites. What's interesting though is that the spend increases in Cape Town and Durbanites outstripped Joburgers, which is quite interesting. And maybe kind of an interesting insight is that Joburgers spend the most on eating out, and Cape Townians spend the most on groceries in the country. So you can kind of see where people are staying at home a little bit more, and those that are eating out on a relative basis, which from our perspective kind of reflects the different economic activity rates across the country.
I must say I'm not surprised at that. Lastly, though, what's to be said about the interesting parts that we are seeing with regards to a digital economy that is fast growing in this country, and it bodes well, of course, for the likes of Discovery Bank and Visa when we look at these patterns that you've highlighted on.
Yeah, so really interesting in terms of digital banking. As a digital bank ourselves, it's obviously an important aspect of the report and great insight. We've seen a 45% increase in digital wallet utilization in South Africa. So it is a rapid exponential acceleration that we're seeing, where people are using their phones to make payments and replacing plastic cards with digital wallets, with mobile telephones, and we're seeing it rapidly accelerating, and amongst the fastest adoption rates in the world, based on what we're seeing across Visa's entire kind of global network. So that's really encouraging. It's encouraging for us as a digital bank, but it should be encouraging for us as a country, because it's more secure and it's more convenient for consumers, and we're responding to that, and I think that's what came through in the report.
Thank you so much for your contribution. That is Hylton Kallner, the CEO at Discovery Bank, talking to us about a trends report when it comes to spending in this country. That report in collaboration with Visa.